Welcome back to Backstage Tea here at the Gallo Center for the Arts. My name's Chad Hilligus. I'm the CEO here at the Gallo Center. It's an absolute pleasure to have you all joining us again for this next episode of Backstage Tea, where we are joined by a true comic legend today. We are so excited to have Vicki Lawrence back at the Gallo Center coming up just in a few weeks on April 3rd. And I just want to get right to the interview. So here comes Vicki Lawrence. Welcome.
Hi, thank you. They're going to know it's a comedy show. If they had seen the setup to get the Zoom going, I,
We'll try to do it behind the scenes, but it is such
yes.
a thrill to have you.
Oh, thank you.
Yes, it is an honor to be speaking with you today, and I know your fans are truly excited to have you back here at the center. You have not been back to Modesto, back to the Gallo Center since 2015. So it's been
Wow.
over a decade, if you can believe
Okay.
that. And you
Wow.
sold out then, and you're very close to being sold out already again for your
Great.
show coming up on April 3rd. So I know your fans are very excited, and I count myself very much a part of that group as I am
Oh,
so
thank
a
you.
huge fan.
Thanks.
Yeah, yeah. So we're going to take it all the way back. I just have a few questions and we're just going to get to know each other a bit. So if I'm not mistaken, you were discovered by Carol Burnett at a very young age. Is that right?
Yes, very
Yeah.
young.
Yeah. So three questions right off the top. First, how old were you when that happened? And then how did that all happen? And then lastly, how did that moment shape who you are, shape your career and shape your confidence at that point in your life and career?
Wow, that's a loaded question. First of all, I met Carol when I was 17 years old. It was in November of my senior year in high school. And I wrote her a fan letter. And I don't want to say too much about the story because the story is my life has been so serendipitous and comical that I share all those stories in this show because I mean, it's just kind of crazy what has happened to me. And the further away I get from those stories, Chad, I swear, the more unreal they seem, the more science fiction. How does that? Because none of this would ever happen today.
Yeah.
This is
Yeah.
truly the good old days, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
Anyway, short story, she came to see me in the contest, and I ended up being hired to be on the Carol Burnett show. So I graduated the next June, started on her show and at UCLA the same September.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
So looking back on your time with the Carol Burnett show, what do you think it was about that ensemble that made it so special and iconic? And why do you think it still resonates today with younger new audiences as well?
Yeah, it's incredible. I mean, the whole casting thing for the Burnett show was kind of funny. I think I might have been the first person she cast, maybe.
Mm.
They were looking for a Harvey Korman. Everybody kept saying, we need a Harvey Korman type. What are we going to do? And he still had an office at CBS. He was wrapping up the Danny Kaye show. And Carol said one day while they're brainstorming, has anybody asked him? Well, no, nobody has asked. So she ran into him in the parking lot, asked him if he would like to be on her show. So that's how Harvey happened.
Mm.
Lyle happened through the audition process. They wanted a handsome announcer. And he was, Carol said, the only one that came in that was beautiful and also had a sense of humor. So that's how Lyle had. Tim was a guest star for a lot of years before he was ever a regular. And that just happened by accident when Tim and Harvey got put in a sketch together, and it was like magic.
Yeah.
It's funny, I did a sitcom a few years ago called The Cool Kids for Fox, and I got an audition, come up and audition. So I went up, and the casting gal came in. She said, "I don't really need you to read because I know I want you to do this." She said, "What I really would like to know is how did you all get that chemistry on the
Yeah.
Carol Burnett show? Because I want to do that."
Yeah.
I said, I have no idea. I
Yeah,
mean,
what's
it's
the
like
secret
magical
sauce?
when that happens, you
Yeah,
know? It
yeah.
it really is.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And so obviously your character Mama became truly iconic and
Hmm.
has become such a pillar of who you have become and your career over the years.
Yeah.
But did you always know that she was going to have that kind of staying power, or did the popularity of that character surprise you?
Uh, well, she's like pretty much the only character that I did on Carol's show that was recurring. And she didn't do recurring characters unless they were popular and fun. But the family was written as a one-time sketch by
Mm.
two of our writers, and they were gonna. Carol was supposed to be Mama. It was written for
Really?
her.
Oh,
And
wow.
so they were really upset when Carol said, I want to be Eunice. And they were doubly upset when she said to Bob Mackey, don't you think you could make her Mama? And Bob said, yeah, because by that time I had played a lot of crazy old ladies on the show. Because, if Carol's Goldilocks, I'm the big bad wolf. If she's Shirley Temple, I'm the mean old school teacher. And so, yeah, it was something I did. I played a lot of old ladies on that show.
Yeah.
Uh, so I was fine. Carol was fine. The writers were appalled. Then she said, "We're going to do it Southern.
Mm.
I think it needs to be Southern." Was not written that way, and the writers were just so upset. They said, "You've ruined it. This is our beautiful sketch, and you have ruined it." And well, we know what happened. It was so popular.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
How has your relationship with this character specifically evolved over the years? I mean, because it really has in a lot of ways, defined your career. And so I'm curious, have you ever gone through phases in
Where I'm
life where
jealous.
where you just didn't want to bring her back?
Where I'm jealous because she gets all the good jokes.
Yeah, yeah,
And everybody loves her like she's a
yeah.
real person. I used to get a little jealous of her. Now, as I get older, I find that I agree with her much more. I think, you get to a certain age where you just have earned the right to say whatever the heck you're thinking, and she does. And
Yeah.
yeah, I kind of agree with her a lot of the time. And thankfully, it's an old lady, so I can kind of grow. I was on the Burnett show. People would say, how old do you think she is?" And I'd say, "I don't know, probably around 69 and holding." Now I'm thinking she's got to be much, much older than
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's all
but
relative.
it's I thoroughly enjoy her now because it's a chance to just dress up and say whatever the hell you want. All kinds of things that Vicki could never say,
Mm,
and
mm.
she can say whatever the hell she wants because she's a crazy old lady.
I love that.
I mean, she gets a lot of it wrong, bless her heart. She's
I
not always on target, but she means well.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
knew that I knew she had to be a big part of the show because people love her. They think of her as a real person.
Well, I was just about to say, I think there's so many people that still watch these episodes and still come to see your live stage shows because they are craving that sense of nostalgia and
Hmm.
and they feel that when they see you perform. And I'm curious how you balance honoring that legacy of that character, but also over the years, how has that allowed you to still continue to grow as an artist and as a comic in other projects?
I think so. I still
Yeah.
do occasional other projects. Mama is fun. She's been so fun to keep topical and I feel like, I mean, when I first started, I had never been on a stage all alone
Mm.
ever. And I was scared to death. I believe I took a Valium before I ever did this the first time, Chad. We opened in Vegas, and I was scared to death. And I thought, well, I've got to do something, or I'm just not gonna make it through the show. And I actually took a Valium. I didn't tell anybody until it was long over. But I mean, you write this stuff, you're sure it's funny, you work on it, and then doing it the first time, you wonder, is everybody going to think everything that I think is funny? Are they going to think the same way? I don't know. I hope so. And I come to find out that every audience is different. Every audience has its own personality. You kind of never know what's going to happen with a live audience, which I love because that's the way I was brought up. We did the Burnett show like a live show. But doing it all alone, but what I've learned is you're not ever really alone. You've got all those friends out there. I
Yeah.
always feel like I walk into a room full of fans and I walk out with a room full of friends because we're all
Mm,
so much alike.
mm.
And we're all thinking kind of the same way. And I'll tell you, during the pandemic, I have never gotten so much fan mail. I don't know if
Okay.
people started a new hobby, because
Huh.
it seems to me that of late, the selfie is the new autograph. More people want a
Yeah.
selfie than they will ever ask you for an autograph.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, I had a teenager ask me for an autograph not too long ago, and I asked her name. So I wrote her name, and I was writing much love or whatever I was writing, and she looked at her dad and she said, "Oh my God, I'm not going to be able to read it. She's writing in cursive."
Isn't that sad?
It's the first time I ever came face to face with
Yeah.
that they're not learning any of that
Yeah.
anymore. Oh
Yeah.
my God, what this whole I'm glad I'm not raising kids right now. I'll tell you that.
Well, but I
Oh,
think
Lordy.
you're right. It speaks to, this multi-generational fan base
Hmm.
that you have because of the syndication of
Yeah.
these shows.
And
And
they've remained
that
so
in and
popular.
exactly, but that
Yeah.
in and of itself doesn't happen a whole lot anymore,
No, it doesn't.
and I think you are still part of this era of I don't know, the golden age of television where um we're still passing down these episodes and these characters to new generations and building new audiences. I mean, I know, man, my college roommate, I'm 44, and my
Hmm.
college roommate was like your biggest fan and Carol's biggest fan, and just I think that continues, and he's passed that down to his kids as well with the video sets, the DVD sets, and you grow up. These kids are now growing up on these old episodes.
Yeah, and I think that the grandparents and the parents are handing these down to their kids.
Yeah,
They're sitting with them and watching them over and teaching the kids about the old shows. And I think, I mean, once in a while, I run into Mama's Family or the Carol Burnett show when I'm flipping around, and they're such great, fun shows.
yeah,
There's not a lot of that out there anymore,
yeah,
really.
yeah.
And
So,
comedy, I feel like comedy has totally changed.
oh,
Um,
totally changed.
yeah,
And
yeah.
yeah, you're absolutely right. And speaking of Carol, we've mentioned her a few times already, but I know that you had a very recent reunion together
Yeah.
on Palm Royale,
Uh,
which is an excellent show. So how, it's been so many years since the two of you have done anything like that together on camera. And so how is this time different? Obviously, it's very different than sketch comedy, but I how is that how was that relationship? How is that experience for you?
well, I do see her a lot.
Yeah.
And I will say that we usually laugh a lot when we're together. Um, so it wasn't like I hadn't seen her in a long
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
And what happened was the creator, the executive producer, the writer, Abe Sylvia, called Carol before the second season and said, "I have a really fun role that I would love to offer to Vicki. Would you be okay with that?" And Carol said, "Be okay? Yes, cool." So I had been watching the first season of Palm Royale. I'm like, everybody is so gorgeous and beautiful, and the wigs and the makeup, the sets were phenomenal. And I'm like so excited. What am I going to get to do? I never saw my part. Never saw my part coming. So, but it was really fun. It was really fun. 2 hours in makeup to do that.
Yeah.
Thank
Yeah.
God the makeup artist was a lot of fun.
No, it was one of those moments where you're sitting there, you're going, is that her? I think it's
I
her.
had so many people say, "I heard your voice." And I went, "Wait, I know that voice."
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
it was
great.
really fun. We had a lot of fun. It's just great to be around Carol. I love her so
So
much.
yeah, she's a legend, as are you. But
I mean, she's
I'm
also a
curious.
very, very special person,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
Yeah.
What excites you now in this current phase of your life and career? Are there any more upcoming projects that you're especially excited about that you can maybe share with us?
Mm, I can't think of anything currently
Yeah.
that's coming up other than I'm doing my show, which
Other
I love
yeah.
doing. I don't do this as often as I used to.
Yeah. Is this
We
well,
used to
is this
go
part
out.
of a larger tour?
It's not really a tour.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, if my son directs my show now,
Oh,
because
wow.
I lost my husband 2 years ago.
Yeah.
He used to direct it, and he was teaching Garrett, and now Garrett has taken over. So I get to go on the road with my son, which is really lovely. And I think I tell people if you can work with your family, there's nothing nicer. If you
Mm,
can't, there is nothing worse. But if you can, it's just very special to know that he's got my back all the time. And we have a good time on the road.
that's great.
But I don't go out like I used to. Like maybe, I don't know, if we go out 2 weekends a month, I'm busy enough. I used to say
Yeah.
to my husband, we live on a cul-de-sac and cars come in the cul-de-sac and go out. And I said, if a big camper or a bus ever comes around here, wants to take me on the road, that's going to be grounds for divorce. I don't know how those people do the tour bus for months.
Yeah. Yeah. So my last question to you is for any young comedic hopefuls out there watching this, to really hoping to dreaming of building a long-lasting career like yours, what advice or lessons have you learned that you would want to pass on or that you have passed on when people ask you about that?
It's a tough question nowadays, Chad. It was so different when I was young. I don't even know that I would opt for it now. It's
Mm,
so hard. You've got a camera following you everywhere.
yeah.
Anything that comes out of your mouth is going to be on the World Wide Web tonight. Um, Everybody scrutinizes every single word that comes out of your mouth, everything you're wearing, everything you do. I was allowed to be young and make mistakes and grow up, you know, on that show.
Yeah.
So it's hard. And I actually asked my agent about this one time. I said I ran into this adorable flight attendant. He was so sweet, and he was probably in his 20s, maybe early 30s. And he wanted an autograph, and he wanted to talk, and we chit chatted. And then he sent me home with a note that said, "If you have any advice."
Mm,
And he was so sweet that I thought, "Gosh, I wish I could give him some advice." So I called my agent. My agent said, "It's tough nowadays.
yeah.
You have to put a good 5 minutes of really solid comedy together, and you have to hit every comedy club you possibly can and fine tune it and make it funnier than heck and hope that on any given night there's an agent there."
Yeah.
Because he said, "You can't just get an agent anymore. That doesn't happen."
Yeah.
So it's hard. I guess just do everything you can. Every
Yeah.
audition, learn to be okay with no. No is okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a learning process. Learn something and move on. That's
Yeah.
probably the hardest part. Um, but yeah, I had after I played Mama on Miley Cyrus's show,
Mm.
Hannah Montana, and she, after that show was over, she went a little nuts. She did that show, where she was twerking. I can't. It was one of the musical shows. I can't remember. Music awards.
Okay.
Anyway, everybody was calling me, going, "What's going to happen to her?" And I
Yeah.
said, "Well, no, she's going to be fine
Yeah.
because she is incredibly talented, and she doesn't want to be a Disney star anymore. So she's carving out a path that, by God, you can see where it's going. But she's really talented, so she's just fine."
Well, you have definitely carved out a path for yourself and for your life, and we are so happy to be a part of it on Friday, April 3rd. We're so thrilled that you're going to be back here. Thank you again. For those of you that are watching, again, Vicki Lawrence is going to be joining us here at the Gallo Center on Friday, April 3rd at 7:30 p.m. There are still a few very limited seats available, so you can check those out on our website at galloarts.org or by calling our box office at 209-338-2100. Vicki, thank you, thank you, thank you. I
You're
can't thank
welcome.
you
And
enough.
everybody remember, Mama's coming with me. She will be there.
We're looking forward to it. We'll see you soon.
Okay, looking forward to it too. Bye bye.
Bye.